Oh, hey everybody. Hello everyone. Barb Pitcock here. We are on day 15. How many of you have been with me all 15 days? We got a lot to go, right? We have 85 days to go. And by the time we get to day 100, if you have followed this every day for all 100 days, and you even implement a few of these success tips, I think you're going to be wildly surprised at how different your habits are, even your thinking, even the way you catch yourself. So today was a hard one to decide. I have so much going on in my mind, like what is going to be the success tip for today. And I had the last few days with my mom. You know what's really crazy, and some of you guys might take this for granted, but my mom's so busy, and she's always been a single mom that worked so hard. I was thinking yesterday, I was driving home with my mom in the car, 7 hours there, 48 hours together, 7 hours home, and I was working a lot of the time. Hi, Alyssa. And I was just visiting with my mom, and I was thinking, when is the last time I truly had quality time with my mom? And this is why I posted on day 14, the most amazing commodity that you have is time, because you're never going to get it back. You guys, in my 30 years of being married to Dave, true story, I've been on a 2-day trip with my mom maybe 3 times in 30 years. So if you have your mom all the time and you have quality time with your mom, maybe your mom's around all the time and annoys the heck out of you, you're lucky, you're spoiled. Maybe you have your grandkids all the time and you're like, gosh, I have my grandkids all the time. You're lucky, you're spoiled. Because when I get time with someone, I'm so intentional about it and I appreciate it so much. Day 14 was be very intentional about your time. It's the one thing you're never going to get more of, right? So I did not have time to go live yesterday because I took off in the morning driving. It's a lot of winding roads along the lake. The traffic was crazy. We were literally in the car until 11 o'clock last night. And every time my notifications were going off, my mom was like, you drive me crazy looking at that phone. So let me tell you guys, I was very, very busy yesterday, but I was not able to do a live. I'm sorry you didn't get a live yesterday. Day 14 was be very intentional about your time. Because here's what I know about your time. When it runs out, it runs out. And all the people that didn't have time with you are going to be so sad and mad that they didn't have more time. I have so much. I wouldn't use the word regret because that's a very low vibrational word. But in my early years in 2001, 2002, every day I was like, if I just had one more day, if I just had a little bit more time with this person, if I would have known how different I would have been with the time that we had. And back then there wasn't even cell phones, right? I mean, nowadays people are on their phone and they're together, but they're not really present. So day 14 was really, really big. I didn't go live, but the message is be very intentional about your time because it is the one thing you're never going to get back. You're always going to be able to make more money. You're always going to be able to go on more work days and you're always going to be able to clean your house and do all the things as long as you're breathing. But you're never, ever going to get today back with some of the people that you love. So be intentional with it. When it's over, it's gone. You can't make more time. You can always make more money. You can always do more work, but you're never going to make more time. So be intentional with it. Day 15, Lordy, I could go on a rant with this one. I could literally write a book called Don't Play the Victim Card. But it came to me last night when I was driving. My mom was in the car. My little nephews were in the back, and these 2 children are the children of my baby brother. So my littlest brother was 3 when I was a senior in high school. That was the year my dad left my mom. Unlike most separations, it was so traumatic and just like out of nowhere. And my dad was not going to pay child support, so he literally moved and changed his name and told my mom, like, I'm not paying you child support. And we're close now. We talk. But at that time in my life, my mother could have played the victim card like no other. And last night she was telling my little nephews, and I was fighting the tears. I've learned a lot from her. she's never played the victim card. Ever. She lost her mom when she was early 30. My grandma was only 60 years old. She lost her dad the day I got out of college and opened my first salon. It was, within months of that. She lost her husband the same year. He's just like, everything was great, and then he was just gone. And there was 5 of us. And my mother was on the courthouse steps of a sheriff's sale, losing the house that we grew up in. And she moved everybody into a little single wide trailer out of the RV park that she managed with my grandpa. Now, when my grandpa passed away, his new wife, which all forgiveness, all love over here, had taken over a family business that my mom and dad had ran with my grandpa. It was an RV park, and was closed down at the time because of a family feud and a divorce and all the things. And it was just so ugly, right? And so my mom was mourning the loss of her husband, the loss of her dad, the loss of her business, foreclosure of her home. But none of us knew that. She just got up, didn't play the victim card, and found a way. She was too proud to be on food stamps. She could have had all kinds of handouts. She worked daytime at King of the Road RV Park. And this is a woman that owned a Lincoln Continental, a beautiful home, a grocery store, part of a Sonic, a campground, a bunch of rental properties, a food distribution company, 2 semis. Like, one day my mom was crushing it. I see my good friend Jill. She knows this because we were high school besties. And, one day my mom and dad were just working. They were so busy working. They were making such a living, grinding, and just doing all the things. And then the next day, there was midlife crisis, and my dad was gone. But my mom never did play the victim card. And she was telling my little nephews last night, and it just brought back so much emotion. She said, your daddy was 3 years old, and I could only make $250 a week working at the tractor where they made King of the Road trailers, working on the line. And she said, Kason, we all slept in one bed in a single wide trailer house, and we had all of our clothes in the only other bedroom. She goes, your daddy slept 5 in the bed with your Aunt Barbie. And the little one, Kyler, said, Aunt Barbie, I want to be like you. And we were just laughing. He said, but my mom won't give me the password to make a TikTok. I said, Kyler, I'm not on TikTok very much. He goes, but I want to go live like you. And we're laughing because what these kids see and what we see is so different, right? And my mom told Kason, she said, I remember I was taking care of elderly people at night. There was a company or a government thing called Link. So my mom could literally make money even while the kids slept. And when I used to do opportunity meetings, I would say, my mom slept with old people to make extra money at night while us kids were sleeping. And that's not really how it should have came out. The truth is, my mom would work 40 hours a week, get off at 5, go clean 2 houses of the rich people that lived down the street from where we used to live, come to the trailer house where all of her little kids were, change into her night clothes, and then go, and she would stay with people that were elderly, and the government would pay to have somebody staying there or whatever program it was. And she told my little nephew last night, she said, I made $30 a night to go sleep where there were people that maybe needed someone just to oversee them. And I know about this because when Dave's mom was sick, we had a lady that would go there and stay just so she didn't fall or something. But my little nephew said, $30 to stay there all night with an old person? And my mom said, yeah. She said it wasn't always easy. And she said, your daddy was a little boy and he would cry for me. So I would take him there sometimes, even though I wasn't supposed to take kids to work. And he would sleep on the porch so he could be close to his mommy. And you guys, it made me really think. My mom went through some shit. She literally went through it. And, my little brother would stand at the door and cry for his daddy. And we had no idea at the time where my dad was. I was 18. I couldn't go to college. I was like, how am I going to help mom with all these kids so she can work 3 jobs? And listening to my mom last night, she said, it was tough. It was tough times, but we made it. We made it. And I look at her today, guys, a lady who lost everything, moved into an old trailer house. The water would freeze. We would put a blow dryer under the trailer to thaw out the water just to take a bath. 5 in a tub. I mean, my kids wouldn't ever think of sharing bath water. They would gag, right? But we did. We did, because that was the only choice. If not, you would not have any hot water. And it's crazy. No shame on my kids. Like, I wanted to give my kids all the things that I didn't have. But my mom never played the victim card. And let me tell you, life is not going to be fair. We live this life of redemptive suffering so one day we can live an eternal life where we're not going to have all this suffering. But the matter of fact is, life is not going to be fair. And I had a little quote that I was going to read to you guys, but I lost it. It was my inspiration today. But when things aren't fair, you got to find the good. You can't complain, and you can't say, you know, this shouldn't have happened to me, or that shouldn't be that way, or why did my spouse get sick? Why am I a widow? Why am I divorced? Why did they make it big and I failed? Like, you can't play that victim card, because whatever your life is, me or you or they were dealt. And so a friend of mine once said, life isn't going to be fair. But here's the question. It might be a bummer, but ironically happen maybe the way that you wanted it to happen. And you surrender it and you find the good. You don't complain. You don't wallow around in it. You don't say, if that person wouldn't have done that to me, then I would have made it. Or if this guy wouldn't have left me, then this would have happened. Or if their mom or dad would have been different, those kids would have turned out differently. You guys, it never could have turned out differently. If God knew every head in your hair before you were born, and we knew from the day that we had our first breath, this was going to be our destiny, then we could embrace it, surrender it, and say, if God be for me, then who can be against me? Like, I'm going to come up. Instead, people want to blame everyone. They want to get in this poor little old me. We call it the plum disease. And one of the main things that I've learned in surrendering things, it's been a very painful 2 years. Yes, there's been a lot of great things, but it's been the hardest 2 years for me emotionally as a mom. Even, you know, the years before that as a grandma, watching Dave lose his mom to a horrible situation. We have to know that in this life, it's not going to be perfect. And it is going to be hard. And those challenges are going to give us insight when it's not fair, to make you stronger, to make you more independent, to make you more resilient. And you know what I feel like? The people who have the most compassion have had the most challenge. People who have never really had anything bad happen to them that's not fair, they're not as full of a servant heart and love and understanding and compassion. When you've been through it, I mean, my mom invites homeless people to Christmas. She brings people with no family from the campground to my house for holidays. Like, she has such a big heart, and she loves so big because she's been through so much. So what we have to realize is, just because life isn't fair doesn't mean that it has to be bad. When you do recognize that it isn't fair, what you want to say is, what's good about this? What do we recognize that is going to make us learn a lesson, get stronger, gain more wisdom, have more experience, be more relatable? Maybe the book you write is going to have a better plot twist. I don't know. But I'm never playing the victim card. Not for me. I tell my kids don't play the victim card. I tell my grandkids don't play the victim card. I told my little nephews last night, you know, one of them was saying how he gets bullied. And I said, I got bullied. I got bullied all the time. I had white skin, freckles all over my face, copper, orange hair. Like, all my little brothers and sisters were these cute little blondes. And I was like redhead, copper top, Duracell, any name they could call me. And, you know, I look back on that. Today, I'm very unique. I'm very unique. I'm very strong. I'm very independent. I'm very experienced. I have a lot of wisdom because I've had a lot of failures. And I'll tell you something else. The most challenging times that I've walked through, bankruptcy, suicide, cancer battles 3 times with someone I loved that beat it 3 times and lost the last one, making a lot of mistakes as a young teenage girl, losing my dad for many years and then finding him again, learning forgiveness, having my oldest daughter overdose and live through it, not just once, but twice. I love her so much. I'm so grateful for all the wisdom and the strength. It was hell. Man, I could have played the victim card the last 4 or 5 or 6 years. I could have been on 5 antidepressants and some psychotic psychotic medicine on the cover of a magazine, right? Like the girl gone crazy. But I didn't. I just surrendered it. Never played the victim card. And I was thinking, like, how did I learn this lesson? I learned it from my mom. We learn what we live. You are teaching all the little people around you how to talk to other people, if they should talk about other people or not. You're teaching them how to pray. You're teaching them habits, how you eat, how you speak, what you watch on TV, what you say about people when you drive by them on the street. And I'm just grateful that I had an incredible grandma that taught me faith, drug my little butt to church even when I faked sick and didn't want to go. She taught me so much about the Lord. I thank my mom for showing me that you're either going to be the victim or the victor. You got to keep getting up. She taught me such a work ethic, such an unbreakable spirit. And the thing is, we could all play the victim card in some way. But what we have to do, even with our kids, is let them fight their own battles. That's where they get their strength. That's where they get their wisdom. That's where they learn to be independent, powerful, strong, wise. The only way we ever learn is through experience. And if you never had a bad experience, you never made any mistakes, everything was always just perfect, you probably wouldn't be very strong. Probably wouldn't have much wisdom. Probably wouldn't get very much experience. And you probably wouldn't be so full of compassion. Because that compassion literally comes from you experiencing someone giving it to you. And there is one love that is unconditional. And it's the only one that we're ever going to get. And that infinite spirit, that Holy Spirit, that feeling that you feel inside of you, that's where it's at. Like, people look all around for it. It's right here. It's inside of you. It's up to you to say, I'm not going to be the victim. I'm going to be the victor. This is not going to be a setback. It's setting me up for a comeback. I'm not going to take what the past was and let that dictate my future. And I'm definitely not going to feel sorry for myself. So stop playing the victim card. Like, you are where you're at because that's where you're supposed to be. You're going to learn, and I know it sucks. Man, did I hate where I've been the last 2 years. But let me tell you guys something. You're going to rise up like an ember from the ashes, and the comeback is going to be the greatest story that anyone has ever seen. And whether you believe it or not, the people that matter the most are watching you. You are their example. And even if you don't feel like doing it for yourself, do it for them. Do it for them. Because one day, you're going to be in a car, and you're going to be driving along, and your daughter's going to be driving with these little grandkids in the back, and she's going to say, you know what? If you knew her back when I knew her, and then you're going to be like, dang, thank God I didn't give up. Thank God I was strong. Like, literally, my mom is my number one hero in the whole world because she's just tough as nails, and she's just so big-hearted, and she's just so strong, and she just never complains. She's never the victim. She is always winning. And you know what, guys? That's by choice. Because she could easily say, it wasn't fair, it wasn't right, I didn't deserve this, so-and-so shouldn't have done that to me. Like, whatever she could say, but she doesn't. She just said, it's going to be all right. And no matter how rough it's been for me the last couple years, my mom never said it wasn't rough. She would listen to me and she would say, it's going to be all right. It's going to be all right. Things are going to get better. Things are going to get better. Things are going to get better. And you know what, guys? If you don't play the victim card and you don't feel sorry for yourself, you can do it for a minute. But you got to get up out of that. You can't wallow in it. This is getting way too long. I could write a book on this. Just don't play the victim card, guys. Rise up. Find the good. Learn the lesson. Keep on going. and never give up, because that victim mentality stops the blessings. It's a scarcity energy. What you want to do is have abundant thinking. It's not fair, and it can be horribly hard, and there's so much grief, and there's so much struggle and so much stress, heartbreak. Oh my God, I've had my heart ripped out and broken in a million pieces over and over and over, just in 24 months, more than I had in my first 52 years of life. But guess what? My heart is so strong. It's so full. I'm going to literally change the world and bring so much love, because I know what it's like to not have that, and I know what it's like to have it. And you guys, it's up to us to make the decision. Are we going to be the victim, or are we going to be the victor? And I'm telling you, you know what the right choice is. You just have to make the decision. And no one can get you out of that pity. No one can get you out of wallowing in it until you decide, I'm going to get up. I'm done being mad and sad. I'm done being angry and resentful and blaming all the other people. I'm going to rise up. There's a song. It's like a heavy metal screamer song. It's not my normal kind of music, but it is literally the best. It's called Are You Ready for the Comeback? And a year and a half ago, I would say 2 years ago, I would literally get in the car, turn it up as loud as I could, and just drive down the road screaming like a screamo girl. And me and Dave would just jam to this song. And now when I listen to it, I'm like, wow, we manifested this. And we did come up. And we did come back. And things are getting better every single day. And they will for you too. Just don't be the victim. Have a good day, everybody.